Let's go round, 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 round.
Roll up in the club, girls see me flexing. Got a dick so small, call me microaggression. Wait, what?
The Opel GT was sold in America for Emanuel Goldstein types who wanted Corvette C3s, but who are also conscientious objectors. This is a small American sports car with a 1.9-liter cam-in block straight 4, which makes 102 crank horsepower. Because people who are buying Opels care more about looks than speed. Opel GT, a 1970s car for future earbud Bluetooth dads. These pompous little shits were sold at Buick dealerships because General Motors figured Buick buyers, who were used to paying more for tinsel and winks, would be the most accepting customers. The Opel GT was supposed to compete with the 95 horsepower MGB. But the MGB, for all its electrical issues and eternally leaking soft tops, were in production for the American market since 1962. And this upstart is supposed to compete with that. I mean, that means even though the MGB was worse than the Opel GT, it was worse in a Chevrolet way, which meant there were more parts available everywhere for MGs in the 60s and 70s, but not so for the Opel GT. Fixing an Opel GT is more futile than trying to win an argument with your Jewish mother, because even if you win, you lose. This Opel GT is a 1970 model year, and that's important because in 1970, in America, the Datsun 240Z swaggered into the American scene with its fly open, confidently flopping a cock bigger than a jeg sticker.
Jegs.
And that was the end for Opel in America. Forever. 2 amazing years, 1968 and 1969, before getting gentrified.
Long dick style.
By 1973, Opel was done, and the age of Asia was beginning. But we can take comfort, because I poop. Some still exist and can be enjoyed for their own weirdness. Right. These headlights, they're not operated by any motor. That's your own muscles operating. It's a big lever just attached to some rods that push on other rods. It's your own muscle that yoinks this thing, and the headlights go over. And you have to take it, and you have to pull it hard because you have to make it catch. So how does it drive? Easy. It's half a Corvette. It's a Chevy Corvette C3. It's not really, but it drives just like a C3. Just half of everything. It's amazing. I guess you can corner with it in a weird kind of half American, half English way, but what this car really does really well is cruising. Sounds amazing. It doesn't go that fast. But in the same way, in the same spirit of the MGs, going fast is not the point. Making do with whatever suspension is there. I don't care about the engine. Make the most with what you have and look as cool as possible while you do it. Oh yeah, there's a GM badge on the back of this thing to remind people that, yeah, this is technically an American car. The owner, Patrick, added a carburetor swap from Solex to Weber, and this is a common swap for Opels, according to Patrick. But it's not the only swap he made. He switched out the mechanical fuel pump for an electric one. He changed the header, bumped up the exhaust to a 2-inch, put in an electric fan, which really you have to do with any sort of classic car, and a snorkel intake, so it can suck stuff else than road gravel. Now this stripe was from the dealership, and so was the air conditioning, although Patrick removed the air conditioning because of the rayon. The white with red interior is kind of rare by conventional standards, but it leads to an eye-popping appearance that turned a lot of heads at Black Hawk Cars and Coffee. But this is a car that speaks to an older audience. It speaks to the previous generation in the same way the 240Zs speak to a newer generation and an older generation at the same time. You get what I'm saying? For some people, this car represents the age of Steve McQueen, Clint Eastwood, and the French Connection with its badass car chase. But for other people, this was was simply the cool little car from Get Smart. A car that looks like a manlier, no-shave November version of the MGB. The car that MI6 used when they didn't want to look like MI6. This boasts an aesthetic that calls to mind an era before men were in touch with their feminine side. Grudges were settled in the bar's back alley rather than some stuffy law and order courtroom. This is from the days before Garmin could take you through the ghetto, and getting anywhere relied on a man's intuitive sense of direction, or the stubbornness that he still knew where he was going, even as he took his family deeper and deeper into the darkening corners of Susquehanna Valley. In America, the Opel only lasted for 2 years, like a bad marriage or a good war. But the Opel GT inspires a sort of cultural tourism, the idea that you can briefly enjoy the American or European or German experience during the 11 months that aren't October. 1970 Opel GT, the official car of the cool uncle. Because really, who knows how the rules of cool are written?
You want bars? I don't think you ready though. Call me Maxi Pag, 'cause I'm bringing you that heavy flow. Wait, what? Really?